Hi guys, what's up? It's Will and John back once again. The MMA Huddle is here for another fight card prediction. We're here for UFC Fight Night 176. Tyron Woodley against Gilbert Burns is our main event here, and it looks like we're going to get into a big space, a big run of UFC cards. They've got Las Vegas on their side, so this one comes from Las Vegas. And before we get into the card, we've had another kind of little break, so we're ready to go for a good run of events. We've got a pay-per-view next week with some banging matchups on there as well. Before we get into talking about the fights, we're going to try and keep this quite short so we can get it uploaded quite quick. Please like, comment, subscribe. All you guys that are subscribing, you're really helping grow the channel. We're closing in 1,100 subs, which is awesome. And just keep hitting that like button. Any queries, any questions, any disagreements, any agreements, whatever you have, put them in the drop-down box below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. John, you just want to get fired into this fight card straight away, brother?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just get this. Let's get on it and get in and get gone.
There we are. I'm going to talk about the couple of bets that I've got in mind at the end here. We'll do that quickly, but we're going to try and fire this out relatively quickly here. So, featherweight division with Chris Gutierrez against Vince Morales. Go.
Man, Gutierrez for me all day long. I think the kid's got a lot of potential compared to Morales. For me, Morales is a little bit slow in coming out of the gate. He's a bit too patient in the fight games. I think he's, for example, he can tough it out in fights. He can get to decisions, but I think Gutierrez, he showed with a couple of UFC fights under his belt, he's so slick. He's got the nice movement with the striking. He controls the tempo. He controls the octagon well. And we've got to remember, this card has got a small octagon. It's something to keep note of. So there's going to be a lot of more action in the fights, and with that in mind, I think this is going to play very well into Gutierrez's style of fight. Then, because Morales can't keep his patient style, I think Gutierrez should be able to keep the kind of tempo with the kind of slickest striking and really control this fight. I think for 3 rounds, he should be able to pick Morales apart really for the whole thing.
I'm going to go with Gutierrez as well. I think that. I'm not super confident, I must be honest with you. I think Vince Morales can kind of fight close, and I don't think Gutierrez is super levels above what Vince Morales is, and I can just see this being close. To me, I think he's a little bit more technical. I think the better hands come on the Morales side, where I think that the leg kicks of Gutierrez kind of come into play here, where he can chop him down, and he can be a little bit more unorthodox with his striking than what Morales is. Morales is pretty... meat and bones, kind of meat and two veg, kind of just coming forward, throwing strikes with his hands. So, fought close against Lopez. I thought he was a little bit unlucky in that last fight, Morales, but I'm edging Gutierrez in this one. But I think it's got all the aspects of being really, really close. But I'm going to go Gutierrez, close decision for me. This is a great fight. I love this fight. Lewis Smolka against Casey Kenney.
Yeah.
I've never been the biggest Lewis Smolka fan, but he's always a guy I like watching fight, because you know you usually get a kind of high octane kind of fight. You get a lot of takedowns, scrambles, and it looks like he's starting to put his striking all together after that knockout of Ryan McDonald. Now, I'm saying that he really wasn't UFC caliber, was Ryan McDonald, and he kind of showed that when because Lewis Smolka's not really known for knocking people out, maybe outside of the kind of super kick that he did years ago, but really good grappler. Not got great takedown defense. He will go to his back. He'll accept being on his back. And someone like Casey Kenney, I think he will thrive in this spot where he can take him down. Because you watch some of his fights beforehand, and he came into the UFC, and a couple in the UFC, where he can take you down. He can control you. And Lewis Smolka will absolutely sit with that and probably allow him to be taken down. But on the ground, he has to be really careful, because Smolka can reverse and he can sweep. It's something that he's always been really good at. He's good at kind of timing when to make that explosion and move into a kind of submission or get back to his feet, whenever it may be. Casey Kenney coming off that loss to Merab, he just got Merabbed, and Merab can do that to a lot of guys, and he did it in that fight. I thought he fought actually tough in that one, but Merab Dvalishvili is just an absolute devil. He keeps on going. For me, I think Casey Kenney gets the takedowns. I think he establishes some top position, and I think he wins the decision. So I'm going with Casey Kenney.
Yeah, I like Lewis Smolka as well. Where, like you say, it's something that I'm not like a biggest fan, but I just know he's going to have a good fight. He's somehow, and like you say, the biggest thing is if you want to get an example of his sweeps, his kind of scrambles, the Paddy Houlihan fight is a great example of that. I absolutely loved that matchup.
Yeah.
It was such a good battle. It turned out to be a great fight between a pair of those guys. It was so back and forth. And he did show, great kind of levels in his grappling aspect in that fight. Casey Kenney, like he fought Royval back in LFA, and he showed, like, then, obviously, a flyweight. He's got this top game that's hard. It's hard to stop, and Merab is just a savage. He's an absolute beast, and he did just get out. He just outlasted him. He was able to outpace Kenney, and I think he probably outsized him. I think Merab was a bit bigger in his size, so it did have effect. I think Kenney should, like you say, Will. I think he should be able to get Smolka down without too much of a problem. He's just got to be careful for guillotines, kind of triangles, arm bars. He just has to keep it simple. He wants to get to like a half guard pin down the leg of Smolka, start to just grind it down, get those punches and get those hits in. I wouldn't bother the side control. I wouldn't bother risking too much. I'd rather just get a dominant position. If he's going to get into guard, pin him against the cage, keep him tight so Smolka can't twist and move for like arm bars, etc. So I'm going to go with Casey Kenney as well. I just think he can get the top time, the top control, and it will just play a factor of a decision win for him.
Mm-hmm. Talking about Brandon Royval, who is, like I say, he's making his UFC debut here. He fought hard against Casey Kenney, even though he got thoroughly kind of dominated by Casey Kenney. Yeah. He faces a tough entry coming into the UFC. I think a winnable fight here. It's Tim Elliott against Brandon Royval. How do you see this one going?
It was because it was meant to be someone else fight Elliott, and then Elliott sent a message to Brandon saying, like, online publicly saying, "Oh, thanks for signing that contract," because someone else didn't. I don't know who it was. Some people might know, but I don't know myself. It is a bit of a tough entry because Tim Elliott's one of those really awkward fighters. He's always going to be that unorthodox guy, and what you get with that is you don't know how to defend an unorthodox fighter. You don't know how to. Do you attack? Is he feinting you in? Is he trying to bait you in for a takedown? One thing that's going to be fascinating in this fight is the ground. When it gets to the ground, it'll hit the ground, this fight. And this is, I think, what we'll see. Royval's, he's got some good movement on the ground. He's got some good slick movement. And Tim Elliott's not the kind of controlling wrestler like Casey Kenney can be. It's a different style that Tim Elliott has. He's a bit more open with that, so it flows a bit more. I think we'll see a lot of scrambles, a lot of movement. I do favour Tim Elliott in this fight only because of sheer experience, and Tim Elliott's fought like absolute who's who in the flyweight division, and so I know Royval's getting a step up. There's going to be a lot of guys coming into the UFC that you'll see lots of new faces. I think Tim Elliott should be able to come out of this on the winning side, because I don't know how much notice Royval had, how much of a training camp he had for this fight either, but I'm going with Tim Elliott on this one. I think he should be able to come over this. Yeah,
Royval had a fight. He was going to be in the Contender Series, and he was actually going to fight, remember we were talking about the guy whose elbow snapped?
Yes.
He was actually going to be rematching that guy in the Contender Series. So,
which is fair enough, because it potentially should have been a really close matchup originally, yeah.
So if you've not seen that fight, guys, go and check out Brandon Royval against Jerome Rivera, and you'll see a pretty gnarly injury, to kind of say the least there. But Brandon Royval's a guy that I've had my eye on a little bit because he's been coming through the LFA. He's been winning fights really quickly. You've got the herky-jerky kind of striking style against a kind of more kind of technical fighter. Not really a technical fighter because he is very hittable as well, Brandon Royval. But he's a guy that I think goes a little bit nuts, and he'll throw a lot of kind of wild strikes because he's not afraid to be taken to his back, and that's something that if you watch Royval fight, that he predominantly most of the time he is on his back and he's fighting for submissions, and he finds them majority of the time. He's got a lot of big submission wins out in the regional scene there, but he's got someone here in Tim Elliott who far more experience in the big show as well. I do think that Tim Elliott is kind of fading down a little bit. So, and I do think that he could put his maybe an arm or a head in somewhere here against Royval where it shouldn't be, and he could get caught. But I have to edge kind of Tim Elliott just overall with his experience. I think Royval accepts kind of getting taken down because he's so comfortable being on the ground. I think Elliott could maybe eat him apart with takedowns, but I can see Royval probably getting back to his feet and making this a little bit of a war. I think this is going to be a fun fight. Would not surprise me if he catches Elliott in a submission, because I feel that Tim can maybe put a body part in there and get caught with something. But I am going to pick Tim Elliott. I'm going to pick him via a decision in that one there. Where am I? Oh, this is another good fight. This is another one I'm looking forward to. Jamahal Hill against Klidson Abreu. I really liked what I've seen from Jamahal Hill. There was obviously some kind of holes that you've seen in his last fight against Darko Stosic, but there was a lot to like. Very rangy guy, a guy that throws a lot of output, and he attacks kind of everywhere. He's got good low kicks, he attacks the body with teeps and so on, and he's got a beautiful high kick which comes up so quick, he whips out really quick. But he is open, even in that Stosic fight, he was open to the counter left hand. I think if you're a decent counter striker, you can absolutely get at this guy with some strikes, but he's going to keep coming for 50 minutes with a high output, so that's something that Abreu needs to be careful of. In this fight, for me, Abreu, what he's not done in his 3 UFC fights is he's not thrown any real output. He's going to have to do that, because if he doesn't, he's going to get eaten apart in the feet. But I do think that he can get the fight to the ground. And when you look at Abreu's 3 fights that he's had in the UFC, Sam Alvey, Ankalaev, Gazmatov, so he's facing 2 Russians which are known for the grappling, and Sam Alvey, who's got really good. He's a really tough guy to kind of get down as well. But I think he can get this kid down, not unless he's improved his takedown defense immensely. You see in Stosic, I think he landed 4 or 5 takedowns in round 3 alone, so did well to get bounced back to his feet. I just think that if Abreu can get him down and have any kind of top time, I think he'll find a submission. So, and that's where Abreu is by far most dangerous. And he's come out and says, "Look, I'm going to be trying to at least have 4 takedowns through the fight." So, he's made his intentions clear what he wants, which I think was pretty obvious, because I don't think he went to striking battle across 15 minutes against this guy. So, but I've got Abreu. I've got him by submission. I've got him submission round number 2.
I'd be interested to see if Abreu makes weight as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if he can make the weight. And he's a big guy for 205, and that is something that Hill's going to have to face. You know, Hill's, like you say, he's got against Stosic, he looked really good, but I always think Stosic just doesn't fight really well because he just fights too short. Yeah. He's short in itself, but he just fought wrong. He wasn't trying to set up the strike, Stosic. He didn't set up the punches to close distance. If you're a shorter guy against a taller guy, you need to throw feints and movement, use your footwork to close the distance to then land the shots, but he just wasn't doing it. He was just swinging big, and like you say, the left hook is huge. You got to think about Bisping Rockhold is a great example, where the guy's throwing his right hand so low for Jamahal Hill. It was just there all day for that left hook. You need to set up that left hook. You need to bait that in to land it. Abreu's not going to do that. He's going to. If I was Abreu, I would throw punches and bunches, get him against the cage and grapple and get him down. I think Jamahal Hill's going to get taken down. I think he can get taken down. His takedown defense isn't the best, and I think Abreu's probably going to have a bit of size in this fight. He'll have a bit of weight on him, so a bit of power, especially with the grappling aspect. And I don't know how Jamahal Hill will handle it in the grappling aspect on the ground, because he's been taken down outside of the UFC, never mind in it, by guys. So I'm going to go with Abreu as well. Will I think he can get get a submission win. I think Abreu kind of knows what his bread and butter is. You need to stick to it for now. Evolve the other set areas to let competent. But if you know you're good at the grappling, you know you've got the submission game in you, just stick to it and apply it. Mm.
So moving on, this is the fight that's literally been kind of thrown together in the last couple of days after Kevin Holland pulled out with a shoulder injury. But we've got Gabriel Green coming in here on very short notice against Daniel Rodriguez. How do you see this one going?
I was surprised Rodriguez beat Tim Means, to be fair. I don't like. Obviously, there was stuff going on with Tim Means outside of the fight game, so that may have played a factor for him in the fight game. And Tim Means just didn't look himself. It's in parts of it, but I'm not taking anything away from Daniel Rodriguez. He applied what was good in the fight. He just stuck to his boxing and found the range. He got the range and was able to pick Means apart. Green's got a bit of a tough one here, because Green's not bad on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. If you've had a chance to watch any of his stuff, he's actually not a bad grappler. He's got slick transitions. He's good movement on the ground, whether it be on his back or on top. I like the way he is on the ground. I just don't think Rodriguez is going to have any part of that. I don't think he's going to have any interest in getting to the ground. So it's how Green, on the feet for Green, I found that he's not fluid, but then again, he hasn't fought for 2 years. So I'm saying this, and I don't know if he's been doing one-on-one sessions with top Muay Thai, top kind of Taekwondo coaches, boxing coaches. I don't know how his striking has evolved in 2 years, or if it hasn't, we don't know what exactly he has been doing and who he's been training with for 2 years. So that is a big question mark. I'm going off what I know, what I can see. I think Rodriguez should win the fight, especially because it's been short notice. I think the power Rodriguez could have, if he can get the range and start picking it off, start landing those bombs on him. I'm going to go with Rodriguez finish here. It's a comfortable win. But, Green's getting his foot in the door, so what does he care?
Yeah. I'm on the Rodriguez side as well. I just think being short notice, who knows whether he's been training. I'm taking a guess he probably has 2 years off. And when I looked at him, I thought, right, what is he really good at? And I think that his jiu-jitsu's okay. I don't think his striking's all that great. I think he's very hittable. And I don't think he's very, very good with his defensive wrestling. In fact, he's wrestling altogether. I don't think he's really good offensively or defensively. So it wasn't a name that really jumped out at me when I heard he'd been announced. Then I went back and I seen that he lost to Julian Turner, watched that fight. But that, like I say, who knows what's been going on in the last 2 years. I think he had shoulder surgery. And when I look at Daniel Rodriguez, I mean, you never seen too many people out there picking Rodriguez against Tim Means, but he fought a great fight, fights behind his jab really well, can throw some nice combinations, and he can mix in takedowns. And I think that's what he can do here. I just think the short notice, plus he's a lightweight. I don't think he's not a natural 170 fighter. Yeah. He'll not be cutting all too much weight here, which will be beneficial for him. But short notice, Rodriguez actually having time to prepare for a fight. I know it was a different kind of fight than Kevin Holland. Not too much time to prepare for Holland because it was thrown together so quick. But I'm going to take Rodriguez. I think he could possibly get a stoppage, but I think he gets the win here. Katlyn Chookagian against Antonina Shevchenko. This was one I was like, hey, I didn't really want to watch too much tape in this, but it was interesting. Hit the mute button. Just hit the mute button if you're watching any tape in these two. But I fully went into this before watching anything on the Chookagian side, and when I came out the other side of it, I was vastly on the Shevchenko side. I thought, for me, what I seen from Shevchenko, which she can initiate here, smaller cage. Yep. Chookagian likes to stay in the outside, pop, go. She can cut off the cage being a smaller cage there, and she is the far better. Like, Chookagian doesn't handle counter strikers well, does not cope with counter strikers well, and she's not going to use like a heavy takedown game here, which you probably need against Shevchenko to beat her. So for me, I think Shevchenko is the more technical, better striker, more output, and she's a better counter striker. Chookagian's just going to look to probably keep at distance and look to stay away and kind of win a close fight in the judges' card. Now, it could end up being that, but I also think it could end up being very kind of dominant for Shevchenko, but with the things that I mentioned. Better counter striker. I think she can cut off the cage, and if this fight doesn't hit the mat, I think she's just the better striker. So for me, I'm taking Antonina Shevchenko, and I'm actually pretty confident that she wins via decision. So yeah,
that's the only thing about it, isn't it? It's Katlyn just makes fights not that exciting, and she fights when she yells and makes it look like she might hit you, but she doesn't hit you. But the judges think. I'm not a big fan of Katlyn. I've got to be honest. And I thought when she fought Shevchenko, the champ, I thought, thank goodness you're going to get absolutely mollywopped, and she did. There was levels to this game, and she learned that she is way off that level. And I've said it for a long time, she isn't of that level or that caliber. And the thing is, like you say, Valentina will be passing on to her sister everything, but they train together for the camp together for the title anyway, so she has a huge advantage over Katlyn in that facet where she knows her very well. She probably had to mimic Katlyn for Valentina, I would imagine, when they sparred and stuff like that. So I think, and Antonina, she will have a huge advantage in that way. She'll have a far good knowledge base, and I think she is a far more experienced striker. Whether Mark Henry's took notes on from what they had last time, what didn't work and what did work, and maybe try to help her out. Now, don't get me wrong, Valentina's got the KO power. We've not really seen that off her sister, and that's something I don't think she has. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. I think she she just has the technique, but doesn't have the power KO to kind of worry her. So, like you say, Will, I think it's going to be a decision win for her. I'm just hoping it's not going to be a decision win for Katlyn, because it'd be just annoying to hear her win. But yeah, I'm going to go with Shevchenko because I'm not a big fan of her as well.
So moving on to the main card, and this fight to me, it just looks like a set-up fight for Mackenzie Dern. She makes a return here after losing to Amanda Ribas. She faces off against Hannah Cifers. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, the Ribas fight was interesting because, like I say, she only come back really short after pregnancy, really short time, and I think Mackenzie in herself knew that. After the fight, obviously, she kind of thought, I maybe made the wrong decision coming back so soon. And because what people might not understand about the human biology of a woman's body, there's a lot that goes on there, changes-wise, after you've had a child. It's not designed to go into a fight 4 months after, with someone. And obviously having a newborn child, it's not easy work. We're both parents. We know that it's not easy work. So I think Mackenzie Dern made a slight mistake there. And the UFC wouldn't have minded if she had 9 months off. They would not have cared if she had a bit of time off with the kid, because they wouldn't have pushed it, because they know they've got a little dynamite here in Mackenzie Dern. They know they've got a good brand. Hannah Cifers is the ideal kind of candidate. She's a bit rigid, Hannah Cifers. You can take her down, and Mackenzie Dern is going to do that. She's going to start swinging like she does. She throws heavy because she knows you're not going to try and take her down. So she's happy to throw heavy to engage the striking. Hannah will throw the striking back. Hannah's not got the best head movement. I feel she's quite stiff when she fights, and maybe that's her way of fighting. That's her technique, but I just don't like it. I wish it was a bit more fluid, a bit more loose. I think Mackenzie Dern should be able to throw the heavy shots, engage the grappling from shooting in for those single leg takedowns. I reckon she'll get it back and whacking the rear naked choke myself. I'm going Mackenzie Dern, probably get a first, second round submission.
Yeah, to me this is the fight Mackenzie Dern should have come back from a pregnancy from, with someone like Hannah Cifers, not Ribas. And I know we were still a little bit unknown about Ribas beforehand. Everybody knows who she is now. She dominated that fight against Mackenzie Dern. And
levels, mate.
She got absolutely blasted out of there. And I was confident in the Dern side. I don't know why I was so confident, but this one here, Mackenzie Dern is a flyweight at best, and Hannah Cifers, I think, could probably make atomweight. So even when you see like the pictures of Dern versus Cifers, Mackenzie looks massive. And I'm not saying that in a bad thing. She just looks way, way bigger than Cifers. On the feet, both girls have power. If you look at Cifers, she's got 5 knockout wins, none in the UFC. Dern's obviously, you've seen that if she lands a heavy punch, like she did against Amanda Bobby Cooper, she can put you down. And then if this fight, I think, hits them at one time, I think it's done. You've seen what Angela Hill did to Hannah Cifers. Hopefully she's been improving that, but once Angela Hill was in mount, she didn't really know what to do. She was trying to buck her off, and someone like Mackenzie Dern, if she gets into that position, she's not going to wait. She's going to grab an arm. She's going to go for something. So our best kind of bet to win this fight, Hannah Cifers, is if you watch the Ribas fight, like Ribas was counter striking her absolutely beautiful, and her head was there to be hit. So Cifers could maybe catch a shot straight down the pipe, hit on the end of her shot. But I think if this hits the mat one time, I think Dern's going to get down there and she's going to get another submission win. There's levels, like massive levels between these two on the ground. So I think Dern's going to grasp up an armbar, and I think she's going to win via submission in the first or second round, like you said as well. Roosevelt Roberts against Brok Weaver. This betting line, I'll talk about this betting line really, really quickly, because it is really heavy on the Roosevelt Roberts side. Like, he's minus 350 plus 290 on Brok Weaver, and to me that's high. But see, the thing is, I really like Roosevelt Roberts as a fighter. There's a lot to like with this kid. Long, picks his shots well. Fight, he can go into people's backyards and wins. He went over to Russia and got a win over Yakovlev. But if you watch the Vince Pichel fight, he's lost in the UFC. After that fight, if you listen very closely, he says he quit on himself. So if someone brings the fight to him, now Pichel's a hard out. That's a hard fight, and he looked great in the first 6-7 minutes of that fight, but the rest of that fight was all Vince Pichel. I just think he's faster, picks his shots better. longer. Where to me, Brok Weaver's just a 1-2 kind of fighter. Doesn't really throw all too much after that. He's very hittable. And in that Cazorla Vargas fight, he was getting dominated. I think he was definitely on the way to losing that fight. I really do. He was losing that first round before the illegal knee hit. I think that he couldn't stop the takedown against Vargas. Roberts is a far better wrestler than Vargas is. So even though I think the betting line is a little bit off, I think Roosevelt Roberts definitely has enough in the tank here to really come and get a W here, just by mixing up. I think he could submit him, honestly. So I'm gonna take a stoppage win for Roberts. I think he gets a sub.
Yeah, I'm going with you, bro. I'm with Roberts. I think he should be able to pick Weaver apart on the feet. I think it shouldn't be any. The Yakovlev fight was a really great one for him, because I thought Yakovlev is a tough dude to face. He is hard and he is awkward to fight against. Yakovlev's fought some quality fighters, and he did really well. Roosevelt did in that fight. It was a hard fight, really tough one. I thought it was a really big. That was a big step up in my opinion. Even Pichel's a bloody step up as well. I thought he's had two tough guys in the fight. You know, he's not getting any easy ones. Brok is I think he's an easier fighter. I think if Brok is to try and win this fight, he has to get it close, dirty boxing, keep it and in like that. But the issue is, I think Roosevelt can keep him at range, even though it's a smaller cage. I think if it does get too close to him, I think Roosevelt's got the takedowns in him, like you say, Will. I think if he feels he's not liking it, he's not comfortable, there's not enough space to move, he can shoot him for the takedown, get him down. Even if he gets back up, they can reset, he can get going again and get that range finding again. I'm going Roberts all day on this. I think he should be able to take someone like Brok Weaver down. And like you say, Brok got a gimme, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? He got a W in the UFC from a silly move by someone else. And like I don't have a lucky W in the UFC, but he got one.
Yeah. So this fight next up here has been moved from the prelims after Kevin Holland fell off. So it's Billy Quarantillo against Spike Carlyle. Catch weight bout 150. Yeah. Interesting fight. I've not got the greatest reads on it. How are you looking on that?
I'm stuck on it a little bit. I'm going to go with the Spike because he caught me right off guard in his debut as well. That kid's got power, but do you know what as well? He was so composed in that fight. He was so relaxed when it got to. He knew how to. He was good timing, and he's just got this really fast twitch, explosive pop, and even from short range, he can hurt and damage you. Don't get me wrong, I think Billy's got a great kind of skill set on himself. I suppose with Spike, I kind of wrote him off because he just. I don't know why there was a reason why the catch weight. I think Billy said he did an interview. I haven't read it or listened to it yet. Sorry about why there's a reason for the catch weight. Maybe both of them are looking a good. Maybe both of them are just thinking we want to fight. Can we just not go 150? Why not? I think you might see some catch weights happen, because especially with the short notice, I'd think you might get some more catch weight fights happen. But yeah, Billy's not done too bad. But he fought Jacob Kilburn, is it? Carlburn, or whatever you got. Like,
yeah. I'm
not bit like. Yeah, he looked good. He looked okay against him, but I don't even like who's Jacob Kilburn. Do you know? I'm not saying Spike is anyone either. I just think he was meant to fight Chris Fishgold, Billy, and I thought that would have been a far more better test for him. And I think Chris Fishgold possibly highly likely would have come off better. He's got good hands on him. I think Billy and Spike's going to put potential. The reason why I think they got put to the main card as well, I think they're going to put a hell of a scrap on, and I think you'll get a good round out of it. But I think Spike in the second, third round, it'll start to take a toll. I think he'll start to pick Billy off and really hurt him. And I'm not uber confident, but I'm going Spike. It's just a stab in it. I'm 51-49 Spike on this one. It's not an easy tell, especially the catch weight question. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at this fight and I've kind of struggled with it a little bit. And I was watching Spike Carlisle, and honestly, outside the UFC, I wasn't super impressed with what I seen. No. I didn't really like what I seen. I thought there was some fights that the fights that he won actually. He lost a split decision, which I think he probably should have won. And then there was the Matthew Colhoun fight where he's not got the greatest record, but he was fighting him close in that first round and then caught him with a murderous spinning back fist straight to the chin. And what he seems to have, he's got like power. Yeah. He's got that kind of natural power, and you've seen that in the Alan Cruz fight where he caught him with that elbow and then just absolutely went through him in that first round there. And, I think he comes from a BJJ kind of judo background, where you've got someone like Quarantillo who's more of a wrestler with decent jiu-jitsu as well. But like I said, I take nothing away from the Kilburn fight, because I don't think Kilburn's super high quality. You watch the Kamula Kirk fight on the Contender Series, and he was getting taken down and being held there, but then managed to come through and win in the third round. So for me, when I look at it like that, I think that it's kind of dog or pass, and Spike Carlisle's the kind of underdog in this one. I think he's going to be a scrappy underdog at that. I think once those power shots start to land, you can maybe see Quarantillo look to kind of dive at legs and take this fight to the mat, which he could do. But I think the power shots with Carlyle, and I know he's been King's MMA. He's been training a lot under Benil Dariush. He's been training with a lot of guys getting ready for fights. They've closed that off to the public and just have the professionals in. Like I said, I'm not confident, but I'm going to pick Spike Carlyle in this spot here. I think that he's got an opportunity to kind of come through here, and I don't rate kind of Quarantillo that highly, but I think it's a close fight. Either guy could win. It's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. Co-main event of the night. This is another one that's just Blagoy Ivanov against Augusto Sakai. It's hard to kind of really get a decent read in this fight and be confident in either side. I've been flip-flopping. Originally I was on the Sakai side. Then before I made my predictions, I was like, I think I'm on Ivanov, and then went back and watched a couple of fights with Sakai, and I thought, right, I think I'm going to commit to picking Augusto Sakai, even though, like I said, I'm not confident, really. I think that Blagoy Ivanov, he's really just a spoiler heavyweight, a hard guy to face, doesn't throw much output, and can take a lick, kind of keep on coming. But there's a few times where he's had kind of wobbly legs, and but he's a tough out for anybody. He showed that in his whole entire UFC tenure. It's quite a short tenure, but he's shown that he's a tough out. And this is the next kind of logical step for someone like Sakai, who has a little bit more output. He is definitely bigger. He's got a reach advantage here. I think he can chop the legs of Blagoy. But I can see this being a clinch fest. I can see Blagoy wanting to really put Sakai against the fence and look to maybe keep him there and win a decision. I think striking is on the Sakai side a little bit more. He is the bigger guy, so he might be harder to kind of put against the cage than Blagoy. But Blagoy is strong. Like, he's got that natural strength to him. So, like I say, not a super good read. Sakai, what we've seen, his takedown defense seems decent, so I can't see Blagoy getting him down and kind of keeping him there for long spells. So for me, I can see this being a clinch fest where Sakai has more on the feet. Blagoy will tie him up and then look to win the fight through that. So I'm going to go Sakai. Very, very close decision for me, though.
Yeah, I'm going Sakai as well. I just think the leg kicks will play a factor into it. I think Ivanov will not want any of it after probably the first round. He'll start to just want to close the distance and clinch up, and I think that's when Sakai can take advantage of those leg kicks, and bringing him closer in means he's going to have to be able to throw combinations at Ivanov. But yeah, he's tough. He come into the UFC. He's not going to ever win that heavyweight title. He's just in there as a middle ground kind of. He's a gauge finder, Ivanov, for you in the heavyweight division. Sakai's on a good run. He's putting performances together. He doesn't blow you away, but he's doing what needs to be done. Yeah, he's solid. Like he's got a good all round package. To be fair, he's not too bad. I just think his 3-round fight suits him to the ground here. I think Sakai should get the win here, and then he'll obviously get a decent name after this. He'll get probably a decent heavyweight fight from someone in the top 10 who will cause a lot more problems. But I think Sakai should overcome him, if I'm honest with you. I think if he gets to the clinch, I think Sakai's advantage is the weight size, the size. He'll be able to probably reverse Ivanov a bit more and then start to land knees as well. And it'll start to put Ivanov off. I'm going with Sakai for the decision, if not stoppage, late in the rounds.
Mm-hmm. So we're on to the main event. We've got T Wood, the former UFC welterweight champion, defended his belt on numerous occasions, so fair play to that guy. He makes his return here after that loss to Kamaru Usman, and he faces the surgeon Darino Gilbert Burns, who has been, in the last 14 to 18 months, has just been surging up through the rankings, made a big jump up to welterweight and has looked fantastic ever doing so. How do you see this main event going down?
Man, it's a hard one. I am torn because partly because I just love Gilbert Burns. Like, how can you not love him? He's just like, especially that post-fight interview he did in the last fight with Damian Maia, and he refuted from swearing because it's on his ESPN live and stuff like that. It was just he's great on social media. And he's superb, but then his skill set as well has just come leaps and bounds. We look at his early days, his striking was there to just disguise his initial takedowns because that's all he needed. But now his striking has come on levels, because he's with the man Hoof, who's just an absolute savage. And Burns, Usman, trained together, good friends together. They've done a lot together over the years. Burns went to him about, what about Woodley? The kind of drawback is the style that Usman has is not the same style as Burns. So it's really difficult to take a lot of that on because you're not going to see Burns out wrestle Woodley. It's just not going to happen. So it's going to be on the feet. Now on the feet, Burns, 5 rounds. I'm interested to see how Burns does for 5 rounds. How is he for 5? Because he puts a lot in his strikes. He throws a lot in his strikes. He has a good output. Heavy kicks, heavy punches. Burns, I know Woodley probably be like, I'm not interested in going to the ground, so I'll be counter-striking. So he'll do the usual, Woodley do the usual back up, pop out, explode. My only frustration with Woodley is he just keeps using that same weapon, which is that devastating right. He doesn't set much of it up. He doesn't use the jab enough. He doesn't feint enough. I just don't feel like he just uses so much explosive power. The problem is he catches people, knocks them on their butt, and that gets him a 10-8 round. So he sometimes steals rounds with one movement, like I think Kelvin Gastelum one was a good one back. I know it was a little while back, but it was a good example where he didn't do a lot against Kelvin Gastelum, but he hit him a couple of times, put him on his butt, wobbled him, and the judges just went, cool, that's his round, and he got the decision. But man, Woodley, I know he's been in Thailand doing stuff. He was training, wasn't he? You see, so maybe we might see new stuff from him. We might see a more confident Woodley. I think if I'm Woodley, I'd be open and free to throw strikes against someone like Burns because my takedown defense confidence would be there. But man, I'm torn because Woodley's done 5 rounds so many times. I'm going to go with Woodley, I suppose. I'm not overconfident. I'm really not overconfident in picking Tyron Woodley. But I'm going to decide on Woodley because I think his wrestling defense can stop the takedowns. And I think the power, he's got insane power. He has got just bloody mental power. He's so explosive and powerful. If he lands on Burns once, it could be enough. But I'm going to go with Woodley. I think there's a bit of redemption for Woodley. It burns that loss to Usman. So yeah, I'll go Woodley. But trust me, I'm not overconfident. Because Burns is just clicking. Everything's clicking for him. It's going well for him. So it wouldn't shock me if he won. But I'm going to go with Tyron Woodley, mate.
Yeah, I'm finding it hard to get off the Woodley side. Ever since this fight was put together, I think I've always been kind of fairly confident that Woodley can get this done. But I want to see a bit more from him because this whole backing up, it's not going to. He's lost his belt. He lost it very easily to Cameron Usman. If he wants to get back into title contention, he needs a win here where he's dominant. And I think honestly, he needs to try and get a stoppage. He needs to really get himself back into that title talk by doing well in this fight. And I think it's a fight that it's obviously dangerous. You've got a guy in Dorino who's very, very, very good, fast hands. You've seen that cuffing left hand that he threw against Damian Maia. And once he hit there, he just followed up with kind of Donkey Kong. He's out of there. But super dangerous. But now you are facing a former champion who defended the belt on numerous occasions, who has got the kind of bit between his teeth there. He probably knows this is his last opportunity to really maybe, if he wants to get that belt back and get the rematch against Usman, he needs to come in here and beat someone like Burns and do it comprehensively. And I'm not sure what Burns is going to be like in the late part of this fight, because Woodley's not going to throw a lot, but what he is going to throw is he's going to throw big power strikes. And usually, because he waits so long, he picks his shots fairly well too. The whole backing up thing, I just don't like with Woodley, but I think that he could catch Burns with a big shot. I think leg kicks could be a big thing here where he could chop him down. a little bit and just use that one at a time. But be careful. I don't see this fight hitting the ground. I'd be surprised if Woodley initiated wrestling, and I'd be surprised if Burns went for his jiu-jitsu, which is massive. So I'm kind of picking Tyron Woodley. I actually think he knocks out Gilbert Burns in the kind of mid to late part of this fight here. I would actually like to see Gilbert Burns win, just because it's fresh blood at the top of the division, and he is dangerous across many aspects. But I just think this is a big step up going against from Damian Maia to Tyron Woodley. Like, Woodley is one of the best 170ers in the world, period.
And Woodley just snuffed out Maia as well. Like Maia just could not do a thing.
Maia was one of the best, but he's a guy that's clearly saying, like, I've only got a couple of fights left. I'm going to pick Tyron Woodley. I'm going to pick him via knockout in rounds 3 or 4 in this one here. So that's our kind of quick picks for this card, guys. We're going to be back next week for UFC 250. I'm going to quickly get into the betting side. I have one bet, probably going to be two. I'm actually going to make a bet as soon as we're finished here. And the first bet I've got is Klidson Abreu. I got him at plus 140. I think his lines came down a little bit in America. Let me see.
Is he still plus?
Oh, yeah, he is actually. So he's plus 100. So that's closing up. I didn't expect that to get down that low. So I kind of got a good jump in that there. This, for me, is a really tough betting card. There's not many straight picks that I like. Like if Woodley got below minus 150, he's minus 185 now. I think I wouldn't mind a bet on maybe anything below minus 150. Sakai, I thought about last week when he was an underdog, and now he's minus 115, so I really want to stay clear of that.
What about any parlays, potentially?
Yeah, I don't even, like, a guy who likes parlays like me, I don't really like anything. I don't think there's anything safe. Like Casey Kenney's minus 270, I think that's too high. Tim Elliott, minus 170, I think that's a little bit too high, and I've just got no confidence in putting them together. So I'd love to put Mackenzie Dern in there. I'm like minus 440, because I think that's a lock-in pretty much, but it's too high. I don't like doing that. I would maybe, if I was going to
submission win,
parlay, maybe like TKO submission. I think that was minus 140 I've seen, so that might not be a bad straight bet either. And then Roberts is like minus 350. The lines are too high in my opinion. Rodriguez is minus 360, so like, no, I'm not going to go with that. The other bet which I was talking about that I'm going to make, Antonina Shevchenko is plus 125 to win by decision. I don't see her stopping Chookagian, so her going to decision and win via decision I think is fairly high. She was an underdog, I think, mid-part last week, so if you got that as a straight win, that's a decent bet in my opinion. Some people I'm seeing are thinking Chookagian's a good bet in this spot, but I'm literally going to come off here and I'm going to put a bet down on Antonina Shevchenko to win via decision. So yeah, that's where I'm kind of looking at for this week. I might have another play if some lines kind of go my way, but tough betting card. I've already got a bet for next week, which we'll talk about next week. But we're back Amanda Nunes against Felicia Spencer for the women's featherweight championship. And we've got the return of the former champion in Cody Garbrandt. We've got Aljamain Sterling against Corey Sandhagen, which is a banger. It really is. Should be a main event fight, that, but as what it is. We've got Sugar Sean O'Malley back, Neil Magny against Anthony Rocco Martin. So there are some good fights next week. Formiga against Perez is one to me that I really, really like. So yeah, from myself, from John, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and we'll be back with you next week for UFC 250. All the best, folks.